Good morning. The voice of God calls us to awaken him. How will he find us when he comes? Awake and ready. And when he asks us to dedicate ourselves more perfectly, how will he find us? Awake and ready. Let's begin with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, humbly we bow to you all. Beloved Lord, bless us with the courage of our convictions, and may that courage be of highest consciousness. And bless us with positive thinking, and may that positive thinking lead us always to do thy will. Om, peace, amen. We're delighted this morning to have with us from Ananda Village a little bit later, Nayaswami Premdas, who is a light bearer, been with Ananda for, I think, about 3 decades or so. And we're just very happy to have him doing our talk this morning. But at this moment, I will invite David Evie up to lead us in some chanting, taking us into our meditation.
Good morning. We'll do one chant to take us into meditation this morning. I am the bubble, make me the sea. So do thou, my Lord. Thou and I never apart. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. So do thou, my Lord. So do thou, my Lord. Thou and I never apart. Thou and I never apart. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. So do thou, my Lord. So do thou, my Lord. Thou and I never apart. Thou and I never apart. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. So do thou, my Lord. So do thou, my Lord. Thou and I never apart. Thou and I never apart. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. I am the bubble, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Make me the sea, oh, make me the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. Wave of the sea, dissolve in the sea. I am the bubble, make me 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 the sea. Let's meditate for a few minutes.
Remaining inwardly focused. Listen to our quality for the week on positive thinking from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. As we think, so we become. And as we think, so our lives and circumstances become also. From the divine consciousness come answers to all our questions and solutions to all our problems. It is in lower consciousness that confusion reigns. Think positively in everything you do, for in that way, you help to attune yourself to the divine flow. One who is inwardly in tune with grace finds all things harmonious and beneficial being attracted to him. Positive thinking combined with a sense of divine attunement is never presumptuous, for it draws its power not from the ego, but from the consciousness of God's joy within. We'll do our affirmation together now. I'll read it through once, and then we'll do it responsively. My outer life is a reflection of my inner thoughts. Filled with the joy of God, I express his joy and harmony in everything I do. So now responsively repeating loudly at first, and then progressively softer, but always with deep inner energy. My outer life is a reflection of my inner thoughts. Filled with the joy of God, I express his joy and harmony in everything I do. In a normal voice, my outer life is a reflection of my inner thoughts. Filled with the joy of God, I express his joy and harmony in everything I do. In a whisper now, my outer life is a reflection of my inner thoughts. Filled with the joy of God, I express his joy and harmony in everything I do. Lifting your gaze, taking it deeply inward now. My outer life is a reflection of my inner thoughts. Filled with the joy of God, I express his joy and harmony in everything I do. Pray silently with me. Problems cannot exist, Lord, whenever thou art near. Give me strength always to hold thee in my heart. We'll have our reading now. This is from Rays of the One Light by Swami Kriyananda, which are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. This is week 41. Victory demands the courage of conviction. And I will say at the outset, this is a very difficult reading. It may sound harsh at first. Do hang in with it. There is explanation that will make that much more understandable as we move through this passage. Jesus Christ said in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 10, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father and mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth me is not worthy of me. He that findeth, that is to say, that clingeth to his life, shall lose it. And he that loseth, in other words, that giveth up his life for the sake of my sake, shall find it." God tests the firmness of our faith. The sword described here is the sword of discrimination. The struggle Jesus described is not a war against unknown enemies, but the struggle with our own attachment to all that is nearest and dearest to us, humanly speaking. Ultimately, it is a war against the ego itself and against anything with which we surround ourselves to bolster the ego's fragile sense of security. When Yogananda as a boy fled to the Himalayas, to embrace a life of solitary meditation. He was apprehended by his older brother Ananta and brought home again. At a certain point, before he would accept defeat, he whispered to his friend Amar, his companion on the flight, "Let us slip away when opportunity offers. We can go on foot to Rishikesh." But Amar, whose brother had accompanied Ananta, had turned pessimist, disclaiming any intention of continuing their adventure. Yogananda's memorable comment at Amar's refusal was, he was enjoying the familial warmth. The spiritual warrior rejects that familiar warmth. Rather, he claims the whole universe as his home. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 14th chapter, unaffected by outward joys and sorrows or by praise and blame, secure in his divine nature, regarding with equal gaze a clod of mud, a stone, or a bar of gold, impartial toward all experiences, whether pleasant or unpleasant, firm-minded, untouched by either praise or blame, treating everyone alike, whether friend or foe, free from the delusion that in anything he does, he is the doer. Such a one has transcended nature's triune qualities. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om. As I said earlier, we're delighted to have with us this morning Nayaswami Premdas from Ananda Village. Nayaswami Premdas has done many things in the course of his long Ananda career. He's a credentialed meditation and yoga teacher. He is an extraordinary counselor for his wonderful listening abilities, for his joy. He has lived in Palo Alto, the community there in Ananda Assisi, and has been a 20-year resident now in Ananda Village with his wife, Giovanni. And we're just delighted to have him with us. Many of you will remember Nayaswami Premdas as the executive chef for 10 years at the Expanding Light, his joyful smile and his delicious meals. Nayaswami Premdas, welcome to Ananda, Portland. We're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you all. Thank you, Surendra. Thank you, Lorna. Thank you, David, for the wonderful chant today. My goodness, I had expected to be with you, as many of us had expectations, but I'm not attached in terms of being the physical presence there today, but I'm with you as we all can be at this time from a distance. It reminds me when Master, in one of his talks, said, "I'm coming to you through a wire." Well, look how far and how short that same distance has become some 50 to 100 years later. So what a challenge today. When I looked at the subject matter, I had to do a lot of soul searching because, like you all, we're in tumultuous times. And positive thinking, when did Swami put these together, or did Lakshman organize these, recently? But positive thinking and victory demands the courage of our conviction. My goodness, where to start? So always where to start is with the Guru. And so just to start with, I want to begin, bear with me, I'm going to just chant one stanza from Deliver Us from Delusion. Think ye in thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. If you want to cross the ocean of delusion, if you want to cross the ocean of delusion. Shaming the white lotus in purity, shaming the white lotus in purity, beyond all duality. Guru, image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Guru, image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Guru, image of Brahma, deliver us from delusion. Think ye in thy heart, lotus feet of thy Guru. So today I believe I'm talking to our crowd. I assume many of you already are familiar with our teachings, and as the Portland community has been a strength for so many for so long, it's a good time for me to share with many of you who are my friends. We've known each other for many years. Just a reminder, basically. I'm not coming here to give us insights into anything new, but more of a reminder, a sort of reinstallation, a re-energization, a realization of what we've already been given. Start with the Guru. That's where surrender kind of, he didn't realize this, but when he said, after I introduce you to those who may not know you or may have remembered you, but from a distance, give them a little more insight as to what you're doing. Well, like many of you here, my life revolves around the Guru, the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. But more importantly than the teachings, I would say, is the absorption and the practice and the attunement and the feeling nature of this Guru, bringing it into my own life, into my own daily presence. You know, it's interesting today that the two subjects are positive thinking and also the courage of conviction, but the victory that comes with that courage of conviction. Courage has the same root, cor, as heart in Latin. And that sense of heart is so important for facing the world today. I would say that a lot of the world's issues aren't being resolved because there is a mental approach to finding solutions, whether it's in politics or in social matters or religious struggles, that the average person has come out of their heart presence, though it's still there, but has come out of it and is residing more in their head. And this Guru gave us a complete teaching, but that complete teaching wasn't, again, just a jnana approach, a mental approach, a wisdom approach from the sense of using logic. It was a wisdom approach that included the aspect of karma yoga, service, selfless service, adequate study. Yes, that's the aspect of jnana yoga too, but there's more to it than that, of course. And then really gave us that most of us discover once we jump into this teaching. We actually bring it at the beginning. We're attracted probably to something in Yogananda's essence, in the autobiography, or when we meet others, or when we come across how can I use yoga? And you come across Ananda Portland on the internet, or you come across the services, and then you start sharing and you start getting these teachings and they become practical. But there's something about Yogananda's sort of personality, his soul nature that comes through. And that harkens to that aspect of Raja Yoga that is so important, that I think is actually the key to these teachings. And I'll show you how this connects to my background in a moment. And that's the bhakti. That's the bhakta, the bhakti, the devotion, the heart quality. And the heart quality is what will carry you across that ocean of delusion. The heart quality of loving and trusting and holding and becoming one with the guru in your heart, in your being, in your nervous system, in the flow of energy, in the prana. And this, in essence, is something that the Indians call Guru Kripa, Kripa. And that's grace. That's the grace of God. And the fact that we have a guru means that, as Swami Kriyananda used to remind us, that Yogananda would remind him and them at the time, those firsthand disciples, that just being here right now as a disciple, as someone thinking of discipleship, means you have very, 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 very good karma. And you should never forget that. You should call on it all the time. Problems cannot exist, Lord, whenever thou art near. Give me strength always to hold thee in my heart. What better remonstration can we have from Swami, our founder, our friend, than to remind us of that important aspect? I came to Ananda in a deep search years ago after, like many of us, going through many different classes, many different traditions, looking for religion. My occupation, while it was in the hospitality business, was never firmly grasped in it. I wanted to serve, I wanted to share, I wanted to be educated, I wanted to know the cultures of the world, but underneath that was a deep longing for, why am I here? How did I get here? What's my future? I didn't know at the time, but what's my dharma? What karma do I have to face? And years of going through some traditional training for other traditions, I came across one day in a class by my spiritual teacher at the time, but he was a local gentleman in the Carmel area who was a great teacher, teaching in religious science at the time, but he decided to give us an introduction to the metaphysical swans, if you would, that brought metaphysics to the West. And of course, in that small group of people was our guru, Yogananda, and there was a talk that he played for us. And as soon as I heard Yogananda's voice, I said, I have to get in touch with this man, and found out that the autobiography was his book, but I didn't realize that I was 30 some years late to the game, and that he'd already passed. But nevertheless, I then went on a search to both Self-Realization Fellowship and to Ananda. And at that point, my life started moving very, very quickly. And though I retained connections in the hotel and restaurant business, and also I'm a body worker, by the way, and I was getting more and more in tune with the flow of energy in the body through some great teachers in the Carmel area. Everything gelled to the point where certain doors closed and certain doors opened up. And the doors that opened up kept focusing on the teachings and the presence of Yogananda. And by that, I mean, when I realized that he was no longer in the body, I prayed. I mean, I was desperate. All those doors that were closing down had one door with light in it that was open. And so I went to that light on my hands and knees one morning and said, if this is true, then you got to get me out of this. You said that, we have to marshal all of our energy. We have to marshal all of our strength. We have to find that energy, move that energy, and I'm going to give it up to you. I didn't realize what that meant at the time, but I was going to then move my energy upwards and magnetize the situation to me that would take me out of my dire straits, take me out of my despair, take me out of my doubts, my darkness, my sadness. And I felt like there was basically no way out because other people had told me there wasn't. And I had bought that line. Well, I'm not going to go into too much more detail on all that now, but the point is my prayer demand to the guru was answered almost simultaneously that afternoon. This was maybe around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. All I know is the room was dark. And by that afternoon, something happened that allowed me to go deeper and more direct into these teachings. What does that have to do with the subject today? Because one of the other things I do that I'm currently active in is the education of seekers who are interested in Ananda's approach to Yogananda's teachings. It's called the path of Kriya Yoga. We use that term around the world now, but specifically I'm helping people who are looking at discipleship. So they've gone through the basic training at Ananda through the online courses or book studies, and you have the same programs there. We all differ them slightly, but we do them as good presenters to meet our crowd's needs. So I take people who are either very beginning, who are interested in the course and Yogananda's teachings, or I take people who've had some education and take them through discipleship. This has been the most rewarding aspect of all the work I've done, though I must say cooking for all of you has been a joy too. I love to cook and love to offer and to share. But what we're really sharing now, and what I'm able to lead people with, is opening their hearts to the presence of the Guru. This Guru has given us an explanation of some of the most intricate, some of the most demanding philosophical trainings, teachings, philosophies that have ever existed. I mean, Yogananda basically has, through his courses, his presence, his travels, his education of his own disciples, and for us, Swami Kriyananda, which we're so blessed to have had, because Swami's talent, one of his many talents, was to edit, and he took what Yogananda had already edited, if you think about it, the Vedas, the Upanishads, which you and I could spend lifetimes reading and discussing, but Yogananda broke through the heart of that. He took the Bhagavad Gita as an example, as most of you know, and brought it down to something that's practical and understandable. And in it, he shows us that the practice of some very simple pranayama, and really it is simple once you learn it, your energization exercises, which teach you about energy, learning various pranayama, breathing exercises, learning how to visualize, learning how to acknowledge and work with. When I say work with, it's important because we're not really moving the energy ourselves. Eventually we understand that it's doing us, but we get in touch with that grace of energy that's in us and we keep offering it up. And eventually, through all the techniques we learn, through the advanced forms of Kriya, Kriya 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, basically they're ways of doing the fire ceremony, the ultimate fire ceremony within us, so that we can merge and become one with spirit, those aspects of wisdom, love, light, joy, sound, calmness, peace, and power or energy. These things can be kind of very flighty. They can be very deep and philosophical, but he made the practical, and he made it practical with love. Yes, there's discipline. We have to kind of join in with the discipline of the path of Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga, though, as Yogananda gave it, basically interpreting Patanjali, he gave us the dharmic yamas and niyamas, how to live in dharma so we don't attract any more karma. And he made it very simple. He then gave us, beyond the yamas and the niyamas, he gave us, how to hold our body properly, how to use energy, how to control that energy, how then to control our senses, and then eventually how to concentrate, absorb, and then merge into samadhi. And samadhi is not this esoteric concept that we have to read about. We actually can experience it in our practices, providing that we take full advantage of the Guru Kripa, of the blessings of the Guru, and merge into him. So if we try to say, well, I need to merge with God. The book says I use this technique and I'll find samadhi. Well, Yogananda also simplified the aspect of samadhi. Basically, I'm going to make it even shorter. Ever new joy, ever expanding, ever new joy. There are tomes, there are huge books, there are full courses explaining this. There are, go to Facebook, don't go to Facebook, but go to Amazon or any other book seller data. Go to your bookstore and look up the subject matter. And this guru gives us practical experience that you can feel inside. Now, I'm back to the subject of feeling and heart. The biggest challenge that I have as an instructor for the course on discipleship is getting people to acknowledge that it's a feeling nature more than a mental approach. But it is understandable. Understanding is not of the mind. Understanding from what we think of as the mind, understanding is from the heart. And if you can bring the guru into your heart, that's the best way to feel him and to know that you can call on him. I mean, there are so many sources that we have been graced with. God's Boatman, for instance, the great poem, God's Boatman. When I am only a dream, these writings of Yogananda are succinct and direct. He could tell you that you are that, tatwam asi. Anybody can tell you that, but when he can explain it and back it up with his presence in consciousness, or in some cases, his physical presence, but for most of us to merge into that consciousness and to know it's always there whenever we call, that's really, when I looked at the subject matter today, it was both perfect and a challenge. The challenge is that this is an extraordinary time to be alive. What a great opportunity. What a great chance to rise up as devotees, to say, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for. My guru says that we ourselves can become like Arjuna and fight the battle if we place our heart, our energy, our love in the guru's hands, allowing Krishna, Guruji, to drive our chariot, to live in that light, and whatever comes our way, to be up for that challenge. So I wanted to read something from Yogananda as well. As a great letter that he wrote, and it's often been entitled, "You Must Never Lose Courage." Divine Mother sent me to pilot you out of the clouds of your mind. Everybody's difficulty is different, and he or she has to win that test of karma and Divine Mother. Overcome all by constant inward calling on God and utmost devotion in words, thought, action, and obedience to Guru. Your troubles I do not mind. I will never give up my job about you. It is better to conquer evil and not go on living with it forever. Never for a moment identify yourself with momentary flashes of error. Have no fear. Even when I am gone and no longer visible to your eyes, you will never be alone. I may not scold you then, but I shall ever be with you, and through Divine Mother, guard you from all harm. And will constantly whisper to you guidance through your loving self. So, do not make life discouraged and tired, but be ever interested in doing for Divine Mother, no matter, here's the kicker, if wars, sickness, and death dance around you. That is the secret of victory over delusion and all troubles. Be cut to pieces, but never give up. Be a divine leech. Suck at the blood of wisdom, even though torn to bits. A smooth life is not a victorious one, and I will give you lots of good karma, so you will get through. I will not only ever forgive you, but ever lift you up no matter how many times you fall. Keep unceasingly trying to conquer, that not only I invisibly help you, but visibly through many here. Divine Mother will help you to win through your own efforts and the blessings of the great gurus. I am not building a mansion for you or giving you riches that will perish, but I am making an imperishable home with all the riches for you and my Divine Mother's mansion. With unceasing blessings, our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda. So, what's going on in the world today? I don't need to actually list them. They're innumerable. The challenges, we have to think about our health. We have to think about the wellness of our group that we live around, our society, economics. I mean, these aren't unusual challenges as subject matters, but they're unusual in that the whole paradigm of our conscious existence is being altered as we're gathered here today. That's enough to unsettle anyone. So one, hats off to you. You're standing. You're focusing on your teachings. You've got the Guru. I love it. The Guru is always with me. I have a locket of Master's hair, and yes, it's his hair. It's not his consciousness, but it's a reminder to me that the Guru is ever present. It's a symbol for me, and yet I also think, quite honestly, I've got his DNA in my pocket all the time. And more importantly, I remember how that came to me shortly after the story I told you earlier of praying to have him. And even though he was gone, it was the sorrow, the divine sorrow of the Guru, of the Chela who wants their Guru. And shortly after a sort of a meltdown and sorrow, but a divine sorrow, I got to meet another disciple of Yogananda's that was representing Durga Ma's new book at the time. And Durga Mata had brushed Yogananda's hair throughout most of his life. And this woman was traveling around the country after Durga Ma has passed. And we had a coincidental meeting, this woman and I, and in it, she gave me a locket of Master's hair. There's a story behind that that's greater. But my point here is that whenever you think you can't make it, call on the Guru, as I did. Get on your hands and knees energetically. Move your energy up. Offer it up at the spiritual life through your practice of Kriya. And as Yogananda said, you made me, you got me into this, now you got to get me out. And maybe all of this is to awaken us to remember where the source of our power comes from. It comes from God, and we have the wonderful, not just opportunity, but the wonderful joy, the wonderful bliss of having a recognizable, personal story, presence of this Guru through our connections, through Swami Kriyananda, through these teachings, most importantly, through our sadhanas. Satsang, so important. We have that. Keep it up, even if it's digital. We're here. This is beyond being physically present, though we do want that to come back, definitely. The practice of selfless service. Thank you all for keeping these services going and sharing, as Swami made so evident to us. We are part of a great tide of loving, joyful energy that wants to give and give as long as people are happy to receive it. What a great mission this is. But also, in our sadhana, to add the element of devotion. Devotion will carry us across all those oceans of delusion. So as we kind of come to the conclusion of my presentation with you today, I wanted to go out with a very important chant, if you would, or mantra. This is the invocation to the Guru. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Shakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Brahmanandam Paramasukharam, Kevalam Janamurtim, Dandvatitam, Gagana Sadrisham, Tatvamasha Dilaksham. Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam, Sarvade Shakshibhutam, Bhavatitam, Triguna-rahitam, Sadgurum Twam Namami. Full of bliss, giving joy transcendent, of higher knowledge, the abode, dual no more, clear as the heavens, known to all as thou art that. He is pure, permanent, unmoving, the everlasting seer of all, far, far beyond quality and thought. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. Guru Lord, I bow to thee. In everything we do, as the writings for today, as the readings say for today, do it with joy, do it with love, do it with God and Guru, and everything that you can think of possibly when you go back home and you open the newspaper or you talk with your friends, everything will be transmuted with the joy of God. Many blessings to you all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Premdas, such a joy to be continuing our friendship via this and connection via this digital format. Thank you so much, dear friend. It's fantastic to see you again and hearing your words. So we're going to sing If You're Seeking Freedom. And for those of you who are listening in, please sing along with me. It's a fantastic song that Swami Kriyananda wrote that goes up the spine if you listen carefully to these words. If you're seeking freedom in a revolution, or if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For once the guns stop blazing, you'll find it amazing how the world can drag on just as before. And if you're seeking freedom in a marble mansion, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For even when it's sunny, you'll be counting money, keeping up that showcase your face lined with care. And if you're seeking freedom on a throne of power, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For though men all obey you, what if they betray you? Tense you'll be and waiting for foes everywhere. But if you're seeking freedom, cast away desires, why barter like a beggar? You've wealth everywhere, for there's no, for never can you buy it, grasp and you deny it. Freedom can't be hoarded, it's free as the air. And if you're seeking freedom, seek it on the mountains, got sunlight on your shoulders, the wind in your hair. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere.
Thank you, David and Nayaswami Premdas, for wonderful inspiration. Seeking freedom is what we are here to do. I want to give you an opportunity now to make an offering. We're very appreciative of the donations that we've been receiving. People have been generous, and we hope that you will continue to be so that we can bring you programs like this and one that I'm going to mention in just a moment or two. But You can go to our website. At the bottom of the homepage is a donation button. You can also send a check to Ananda. Just make it out to Ananda, and in the memo line, you can note that it is a donation. And thank you so much. Let's offer our prayer together. Divine Mother, we offer to thee the fruit of our labors. Bless this offering, that it serve as a channel of thy light to truth-seeking souls everywhere. Om, peace. Amen. Couple of announcements. Looking ahead, of course, we always have our Sunday service here. And in a couple of weeks, we will be beginning a new book study. This will be on Mondays at 5 o'clock. And we'll be studying Phil Goldberg's book, The Life of Yogananda. Would love to have you join us. You can email me, Surendra, at Ananda Portland, and I will make sure that you receive a link to that. We just are finishing this next week our study of Light Bearer. It's been wonderful. We've had a wonderful group, excellent discussions, and we're moving on to the next book. Also, on October 31st, on Halloween, we're going to have a very different Halloween. Halloween is Hallowed Eve. And we have been, in the last couple of years, taking advantage of that as our evening of remembrance, remembering those who have gone before us from Ananda Portland, but from wherever in your family life, in your life at all, friends, those who have been dear to us. We'll be offering this on Zoom, of course, sharing memories of some of these people. There will be readings and music. And again, we'll, in our newsletter and perhaps in other communication, be able to let you know a little bit more about this. But set aside Halloween this year, 7 o'clock in the evening to 8:30 for a truly hallowed eve. And now let's close our Sunday service with a prayer. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, dearest friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, we bow to thee. Divine Mother, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion. And may we be able to awaken that love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen. May you go out with joy.